Back to our comprehensive coverage of the search for fired LAPD officer Christopher Dorner. There's been no sign of Dorner in more than 24 hours. What are the steps investigators can take to find him? Anthony Corsini is a California-based bounty hunter.
Off the top of my head, I'd probably go right to the family members. We'd start, interviewing every family member. What is this guy like? What does he do? Where does he go? What are his hobbies? Hobbies are a big deal. We've picked up guys who we couldn't find them for the life, and we'd end up finding out, hey, this guy's a adamant bowler or adamant golfer. We had a guy a couple of years ago who he bowled every Friday night, and I think we probably searched for this guy for like 6 months, and he was wanted on, I want to say, he was failing to register as a sex offender, so we were really looking for him. It was a pretty high bond, and we got information about 6 months down the road, says, hey, you guys haven't checked this bowling alley. He's there. He used to go there every Friday night since he was a kid. And sure enough, we showed up there on a Friday night. We waited a few hours, and sure enough, the guy showed up.
And this guy, especially in light of his training, how do you balance finding him and then preserving your own safety?
You got to be really careful. You have to kind of plan things out perfectly, because you might end up at the right house, and you might only have a couple officers, and then you have to plan accordingly and on that split second and try to determine how you want to approach this, because, we want to go home. Before you go into any house, we call the doorway of a home, we call it the vertical coffin, because when you go in that thing, you might not come back out. One of the things that I experience a lot of times is these guys, when there's not a lot of activity over a few days, that kind of tells us that he's laying low somewhere. He's doing something because he's not moving around. What's going to get this guy caught is moving around. And that's a lot of things that we hope for when we're looking for somebody. We're hoping that we can hit the right buttons in the right houses and talk to the right people to where one way or another, this guy gets information that we're onto him, and then he moves. And while he's in the process of moving, he gets picked up or he screws up and he lands on our arms.
That's California-based bounty hunter Anthony Corsini. He says Dorner's military training will make him especially difficult to apprehend.